Alright, so we got this thing up on a lift. We ended up changing rear wheel cylinders on it. The wheel cylinders are bad. It had a bad line here, so we bled all that. That's all done. Cleaned out the master cylinder. Had all old brake fluid in it. We cleaned all that out. Now we're going to show you how to do the strange brakes. So we got strange racing disc brakes. This is something else got to go on here. Okay, so this is an S-10 kit. I'll show you the number on the kit so that you can order the right one. Okay, so that's the part number for the kit. Okay, and then these are the brake lines. So first thing you're going to need, so these are stock brakes. They got the long studs in it, but they're stock brakes. Okay. Some of the tools you're going to need right off the bat, obviously you're going to need a ratchet. You're going to need a 3/8 Allen socket, 5/8 wrench, 3/8 line wrench, pair of channel locks, pair of cutting pliers, a small sharp to get behind here, and a hammer. And I'll start showing you how to do this. So we're going to take all this apart, figure out what we need. I'm going to take the brakes apart, show you how that all comes apart, show you the parts that we're going to use, whatever modifications we got to make, and install these on here. All right, so first off, I'm just going to knock this cover off of here. All right. Get that off. There's a castle nut behind it, cotter pin, castle nut, washer, bearing. Now we're going to take off the caliper. We're going to take the caliper completely off. So we're going to take off these 2 Allen bolts. Alright, so you got the 2 bolts out. They just slide through. They're guide bolts. Caliper comes off. Right? Take the brakes pads off it. This ain't going to be used again anyway. Normally, so this has a hose, a flexible rubber hose. We're going to put steel braided hoses on it. Normally when you take this off, you just want to lay it up here. You don't want it hanging. We're not reusing this anyway. So next step is, got a bucket under here. Take a 5/8 wrench. Hold the line. 3/8 line wrench. Undo the steel line. Steel line off. Once you get the steel line off, like that, out of the way, it's got a clip that slides in. You basically grab the clip, pry it off. So that clip slides into here, through the bracket, and then this slides on here. So that's going to get disconnected. We don't need that anymore either. So all the old stuff we don't need at all. Just going to discard all that. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to straighten the wheel back out. Clean some of this grease out of your way. You can see what we're doing. There's a cotter pin in here. Straighten the cotter pin out. Pull the cotter pin out. Okay. I use these for the castle nut. Undo the castle nut. this all comes apart. You got a washer, a bearing, a rotor, a bearing, and another seal inside. So we're not going to use any of that. Now you're left with the spindle. We got to figure out the next step. All right. We're just going to clean this up. All right, there we go. All right, so let's go over what comes in the box, the whole kit. So you got 2 rotors, right? Now these are directional, so you got to make sure they go on the right way. You got 2 calipers, right? Black anodized finished. Same thing. You got to make sure that you put them on the right way. Okay. 2 hubs. Aluminum hubs come with it. Okay. Two brackets. I see they finally gave you a provision for a sensor. Brake pads. You got inner bearings, outer bearings, the caps, long wheel studs, spacers, and all the hardware to mount the calipers. All right, let's get to it. All right, so this is what's going to happen. The hub's going to be on there, so we're just measuring stuff up. This bracket, there's a left and a right. This goes on the inside. All right, if you look at that. Okay, it's relieved, so you're going to use these flat 7/16 bolts, Allen bolts. There's a spacer on each one. So these are going to end up going in here like this. There's 2 existing holes that used to hold the heat shield on, or the dust shield, okay? So there's 3 of them. You're going to use the last 2 as a bracket holder. So this and this need to be cut off. So we're going to cut this and this off with a whiz wheel. And then we're going to drill these 2 out for a 7/16. So we're going to drill and tap it for a 7/16. All right. I got to get a new blade so it'll go deeper into the metal. Alright. Now what we'll do is we'll clean it up with the wire, with the brush, or a grinder, flat disc, whatever you want to call this. Get all the sharp edges off it. Round off the corners a little bit. Now this, so there's two long spacers, not much longer, but one's a little longer than the other one. The one that's a little longer goes on the bottom. The one that goes here goes on the top. And then this will sit like, sorry, got it wrong. That goes there, that goes there. This is basically going to sit like that. Okay? Now we got to drill and tap the two holes. So 3/8 bit and a 7/16 tap. So you're going to drill these holes out. Not like that. So they got threads in them. And we're going to work our way up to the 7/16 to a 3/8. I'm sorry. So a 3/8 drill is what you're going to be using. All right. So after breaking a couple of bits, got the holes drilled. Now we got to tap them. 7/16 tap. I use this Tap Magic stuff on the bit, on the tap. We're going to tap the two holes, and we can start assembly. So when you're tapping these, you want to go a little at a time. Keep going in. Keep blowing the excess stuff off with the tap. until you get all the way through. So you don't drag all the metal back through it. Alright. Obviously you want to stay as straight as you can. Alright, that's one. Same thing with the top one. These are stock cast spindles, so believe it or not, they're pretty soft. Pull that off it. It takes a few times. You try going through all in one shot, you'll end up stripping or breaking a tap off in there. Almost through. One more shot and it should be through. And then we'll show you what's up next. All right, so the holes are tapped. Blew them out with some brake cleaner, blew everything out nice and clean. We're going to put a little bit of Loctite on here. You need a 1/4 inch Allen. So I'm correcting what I said before. So these bushings, the longer one looks like it goes on the top. Okay. And we'll find out in about 2 seconds. So this is the longer one. The longer one's going to go on the top. So we'll see how that fits. Short one on the bottom. And what you wanted to do is you want it to sit flush. So, yep, that's how it goes. So short one on the bottom, long one on the top. On them in. So it's a 1/4 inch. Put a drop of Loctite on them. All right, that's going to sit like that. So that's how those sit. Okay. Let me see if there's a torque spec on them. If not, we'll make them good and tight. All right, so we got that torque down. I tighten them. There's no torque spec. So tight. Okay, plus it's got Loctite on it. So that's on. Coming over here now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the hub. We're going to get a tub of grease. We're going to grease the wheel bearings. Put the wheel bearings in the back wheel bearing in. Put the seal on it. And then we'll be able to, I'm going to put the studs in it and get this ready to install on there. All right, so we got bearings. We don't have any inner wheel bearing seals. That's what's missing. So I just looked it up. They don't give you any instructions. They don't give you nothing. So it says a CR19748. CR17948. Part number 9. Hub seal. Yep, no hub seal. And then, so the washer and the cotter pin and the castle nut, you need to use the old one. So you know what? I'm pretty sure you're going to use the old. Might end up using the old seal, but I'm going to go to the auto parts store and see if I can pick up a seal, the right part seal. If not, we're going to have to get it from them. Alright, so before I go there anyway, so there's a washer and the studs. Got the washer on there. Run the studs all the way in about maybe a ½ inch or so from the end, and then put a little drop of Loctite on them and run them in the rest of the way. If you put the Loctite on them first, then it's going to be all over the threads, and then you're going to have an issue. So run them all the way in. You could use a little impact gun or something, but when you get to the very end, so I'll show you like this. Basically, you're going to run them in till you got about a ½ inch left. Like that. And then just put a drop of Loctite on it. So run them all in, and then put Loctite on all of them, and then run them in the rest of the way. And then you could torque them in. All right. All right, well, the wheel bearings, I put them on. I forgot the video. So we got the seals. Picked up 2 seals, packed the bearings. So you repack the bearings, inner and outer bearing. Make sure you use a good kind of grease. Then you use the old washer, castle nut, put a new cotter pin in it, and then pop the caps on. All right, so next thing you're doing after that is basically you're just putting the rotor on. All right, if you look, got an arrow. Arrow faces forward. I'm gonna go on here. This one's gonna go on this side. Same thing, got an arrow right there. Arrow facing forward. Alright. And then what I do is I'm going to put 2 nuts, 2 of the bolts on here, run them all the way in. Just going to run them in backwards like that just to hold the rotor in place, which now we can't do because these are 7/16 and those are ½ inch. So he's got to get lug nuts. I probably have lug nuts. Let me make sure. I probably have a crap load of lug nuts. There we go. Lug nuts. Plenty of lug nuts. Okay. See if these are going to be deep enough. Probably. If not, put a washer on it. So we're going to run these on just to hold the rotor on tight. Okay. And then we got to take a measurement here. So you have to have enough clearance with the brake pads. So let me put these on, and if these don't work, I got other lug nuts that will work. All right, so that's on, snug so it don't move. And you got the caliper, same thing. Caliper's got an arrow. Okay, so that's facing the right way. Got an Allen bolt 7/16 locking nut and this spacer. So you take that out of here. You're going to put the caliper on. You got to make sure that the rotor rides in the center of the caliper. That's what we're trying to do. If it doesn't, they give you shims that you can adjust it to make it work like that. Okay? And then we got these fittings that got to go on the side. So these are piped thread. So I'm going to put a little, put some tape on here, Teflon tape on that, put those two fittings in there. All right, so the rotor rides dead center. You got 2 bolts and 2 washers that go in there. The no spacers are used on this one. Sometimes you need to move it further out to space the rotor, so you would put those little tiny washers or shims in there. All right, so now next thing you do is get the pads. Put the pads in here. So you got, this has these springs in here, so it keeps the pads from rattling around. You get that in there, that in there. All right, so the 2 pads go in. You got the little spacer goes in there, the nut goes through, the bolt goes through. And then you got a nut that goes on the end of it. Like that. So videoing and working with one hand won't work too good. All right, so that goes on there. I'm going to tighten that Allen head, 7/16 wrench, and then the line will go on here. Got a fitting that goes here. I'll show you that. And then you're going to bleed it from both of these. So there's 2 little 1/4-inch little bleeders once you hook the line up. All right, so we got a package of lug nuts. So 1/2 inch open end, brand new. That's on. This one's on. All set. And now we're waiting for 2 fittings. I'll have them in the morning that go from this line to that. So basically we're looking for a fitting that goes from 3 AN to a 3/16 regular line. So this line is going to go on here. All right. That'll go on there. And then this line will go from here. We'll probably go under here or over. That, and then there's a line that goes, there's a fitting, and the fitting goes from this to a regular 3/16. Once we get those, then we'll know where to aim this thing, and then that's done. All right, so we got the fittings showed up. So that's what they look like. So 3/16, and then they go to that. We got those. So now can't put these in the original spot because they go through. Okay, so we're gonna cut these brackets completely off and weld 2 new brackets there so that this hose can go up and over like that. So made 2 little brackets up. I'm gonna clean them up and then we're gonna weld them in place. I'll get that off first. All right, so those 2 brackets we cut off. We welded those 2 on, repainted that black. This side, same thing. So now I got to get a line that goes from here to the bottom of this. So it's about 12 inches long we got to go get. So that one's too short. This one will work out good because that'll just go right back in here and the fitting goes right on there. Let me go pick up this piece of line and we're done. All right, so we got that line in there, fitting, little clip, brake line. That side's all set. This side's all set. Same thing. So now we're just going to open up these little bleeders, 1/4 inch. Fill up the fluid. Let it gravity feed for a little while. We'll have gravity bleed, whatever you want to call it, for a little bit. And then we'll get in and pump the pedal up. Alright. All set. Fluid's done. We flushed the fluid all out. Had that nasty fluid in it. So that's all done. Okay? Now we could stop. Alright, don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe one day we'll go check this little truck out at the track and show you how it runs.